Rain hammered the rooftops like a warning. The streetlights flickered, turning the neighborhood into a blur of gold and shadow. Tanya tightened her coat against the wind as she climbed the cracked steps to her small apartment. Her shoes squished, soaked through from the long walk home after a 12-hour shift at the diner. She carried a brown grocery bag with one hand and her purse in the other. Half a loaf of bread, 2 eggs, some instant noodles. That was dinner, she muttered under her breath. Another night, another storm. Lightning cracked across the sky. Her little boy, Malik, peeked from the window upstairs. Malik. Mama? You okay? Tanya. I'm fine, baby. Go back inside. I'm coming, she forced a smile, though her hands trembled from the cold. Her world was small but fragile. Every dollar counted, every meal stretched. Then, a faint sound cut through the storm. Crying. At first, she thought it was a cat. Then the crying grew louder, 2 voices, soft and scared. Tanya turned toward the alley beside her building. 2 small figures huddled beneath a broken bus stop roof, drenched from head to toe. Twin girls, maybe 8 or 9, matching pink jackets, torn and muddy. Tanya, hesitant. Hey, you 2 all right? They flinched at her voice, clutching each other. One of them tried to speak but only managed to sob. Twin 1. We lost our car. Mommy was driving and she went to find help, but she didn't come back. Twin 2, sniffling. It's so cold. Tanya looked around. No car, no adult. Just rain and fear. She sighed, torn between worry and exhaustion. Tanya. Where are you from? You girls shouldn't be out here alone. Twin 1. We don't know. We were visiting somewhere. Then the car stopped working. Her heart squeezed. She'd seen too many people turn away when help was needed. Maybe she'd done the same once, but not tonight. She motioned to them. Tanya. Come on. You can stay at my place till morning. Twin 2, shaking her head. Mommy said not to go with strangers. Tanya. Smart girl. But your mommy would want you warm and safe, right? A beat of silence. Then the girls nodded. Tanya took off her coat and draped it over their shoulders. Her own body shivered as the cold bit through her thin sweater. Inside, Malik ran to meet them, eyes wide. Malik. Who are they, Mama? Tanya. Just some guests for tonight. He noticed the way the twins clung to each other and smiled gently. You can have my blanket. Tanya's chest tightened. Even when they had so little, her boy still gave what he could. She guided the girls toward the small couch, lit a candle when the lights flickered out, and whispered to herself, Please, God. Keep them safe tonight. The power flickered again, plunging the room into a soft orange glow from the lone candle on the table. Rain still roared outside, beating against the windows like restless fists. Tanya set the grocery bag on the counter and glanced back at the twins. They sat together, knees tucked, dripping water onto her old couch. Their pink jackets clung to them, soaked and heavy. Tanya, let's get you out of those wet clothes. You'll catch a cold. She rummaged through a drawer, pulling out 2 oversized t-shirts from Malik's old things. The twins hesitated, watching her every move with cautious eyes. Twin 1, softly. We don't want to bother you. Tanya, you're not bothering me. You're just kids caught in the rain. Malik appeared holding 2 mugs. Malik. Mama, I made them cocoa. Steam rose from the chipped cups, half milk, half water, but warm nonetheless. Tanya smiled faintly, pride in her tired eyes. Tanya. Thank you, baby. The twins accepted the mugs, wrapping small hands around the warmth. For a moment, silence filled the room. The kind that feels heavy but safe. Twin 2. You have a nice home, Tanya chuckled, glancing around the cramped apartment, peeling paint, squeaky floorboards, a window patched with tape. Tanya. That's generous of you to say. The girls giggled softly. It was the first time Tanya heard them laugh, and something about it stirred her heart. After a while, Tanya served what little she had, noodles and half a piece of bread each. She set the plates down quietly. Twin 1, looking at the small meal. "You're eating too?" "Tanya, I already ate. It was a lie." She hadn't eaten since noon. Malik noticed but said nothing. He just pushed half his noodles toward her when the girls weren't looking. Tanya, whispering, "Keep it, baby." "Malik, but you're hungry." She smiled faintly. Moms don't get hungry till their kids do. The twins watched that exchange closely. They whispered to each other, their eyes softening. Later that night, Tanya found them sitting on the floor beside Malik's blanket fort, whispering stories about their mom. Twin 1. She works a lot. We don't see her much, but she says everything she does is for us. Twin 2. Sometimes, I wish she'd just stay home. Tanya's chest ached. She could relate more than they knew. Tanya, quietly. Your mom sounds like someone who loves you a lot. The twins nodded sleepily. Tanya tucked them in beside Malik on the couch. The three of them huddled together under one blanket. She watched their faces soften as they drifted to sleep. Innocence untouched by the storm. Turning to the window, Tanya whispered to herself, "Whoever their mother is, please, let her find them safe." Outside, the rain eased. But in Tanya's heart, a storm was only beginning, one that would soon change her life forever. Morning came slowly, with pale light creeping through the cracked blinds. The storm had passed, but the world outside was still soaked and silent. Tanya stretched, her back stiff from sleeping in the chair. She'd stayed awake half the night, watching over the three children huddled together on the couch. Malik's arm was draped protectively over the twins, his tiny chest rising and falling in rhythm with theirs. For a moment, she smiled. It was a rare kind of peace she hadn't felt in years. But when she turned to check the clock, a pang of panic hit her. Almost 7 a.m. She was already late for her morning shift. She stood quietly, trying not to wake the kids, and slipped into her worn sneakers. The twins stirred, blinking up at her. Twin 1, sleepy. "Are you leaving?" "Tanya, just for a few hours." "I have to go to work." Twin 2. "What do we do?" "Tanya, you'll stay here with Malik. I'll lock the door from outside. There's cereal and milk in the fridge." She hesitated, crouching down to meet their eyes. "Your mom might come looking for you. If she does, tell her where you are, okay?" The girls nodded, but as Tanya turned to leave, Twin 1 tugged at her sleeve. Twin 1, whispering, "You're really nice." Tanya, smiling softly. "Somebody's got to be." She left the apartment, stepping into the damp morning air, unaware that her small act of kindness was already rippling far beyond her sight. Hours later, the twins and Malik sat together on the floor, watching cartoons on an old TV. Malik shared his cereal, talking nonstop. Malik, "Mama says if you want something, you gotta work for it." "She works all the time." Twin 2. "Doesn't she get tired?" Malik, "All the time. But she never quits." The twins exchanged a look, quiet, thoughtful. Then something shiny caught Malik's eye. He pointed at one of their jackets. "Hey, what's that?" Inside the pocket was a gold necklace, delicate and expensive looking, with a name engraved on the pendant. Victoria Hale. Malik frowned. "That's a rich person name." Twin 1, hesitant. "That's our mom's name." He stared. "Your mom's rich?" Twin 2, nervous. "I think so. She always says we have everything we could ever need." Malik looked around Tanya's small apartment. The cracked walls, the flickering bulb, the stack of unpaid bills on the counter. He didn't understand wealth, but he understood difference. "Malik, my mama helps people even when she don't got much. Your mom must be really happy to have a big house and all." The twins were quiet. They weren't sure their mom was happy. A sudden knock startled them. 3 sharp raps at the door. The kids froze. Twin 1, whispering, "What if it's Mommy?" Malik, "What if it's someone else?" They waited, hearts pounding, as another knock echoed through the room. The knocking grew louder. 3 sharp, steady thuds that made the old door tremble. Malik stood protectively in front of the twins, his small fists clenched. "Malik, don't worry. Mom'll be home soon." The twins huddled behind him, eyes wide. Then a woman's voice broke through the silence. Calm, but worried. Voice. Hello? Is anyone inside? Please. I'm looking for my daughters. The twins gasped. Twin 1. Mommy! Before Malik could react, they ran to the door and yanked it open. Standing there was a tall woman in a rain-streaked coat, her hair pulled back, eyes red from worry. Behind her, a black SUV idled, its headlights slicing through the gray morning. When she saw the girls, relief flooded her face. Woman. Oh, thank God. I've been searching all night. She dropped to her knees, pulling the twins into her arms. They clung to her, crying. Malik stepped back, watching quietly. Something about her, the diamond bracelet, the perfume, the way she carried herself, felt out of place here. The woman looked up. Sweetheart, where did you sleep? Were you safe? Twin 1, a nice lady helped us. She let us stay here. Twin 2, she gave us food and clothes. The woman's eyes softened with gratitude. She did? At that moment, the door opened again. Tanya stepped in, hair damp from the drizzle, uniform still on, grocery bag in hand. She froze at the sight of the stranger in her home. Tanya. What's going on here? The woman stood, turning to face her. You're the one who took care of my daughters? Tanya. They said their car broke down. I couldn't just leave them out there. The woman looked her up and down. The faded uniform, tired eyes, shoes worn thin. Her expression shifted, as if trying to process what kind of person would do that. Woman, quietly. You didn't have to. Tanya. I know. But I wanted to. The twins ran to Tanya, holding her hands. Twin 1. Mommy, she's really kind. Twin 2. She even gave us her coat. Tanya smiled awkwardly. They were freezing. The woman's eyes glistened. For a second, her voice trembled. Woman. I owe you more than I can say. Tanya shook her head. You don't owe me anything. I just did what any mother would. The woman hesitated, then reached into her purse and pulled out a thick envelope. Woman. Please. Take this. It's the least I can do. Tanya frowned. No, ma'am. I didn't help for money. The woman blinked, surprised. No one had ever turned down her money before. Before she could speak again, a phone rang from her pocket, urgent, businesslike. She sighed, stepping aside to answer. The twins hugged Tanya tightly before following their mother to the car. As the SUV drove away, Tanya stood in the doorway, the wind brushing her face. Malik tugged at her sleeve. Malik. Mama. You didn't take the money? Tanya. Some things you don't sell, baby. She smiled faintly, but something inside her whispered. This wasn't the end. 2 days passed. The sky cleared. The puddles dried. But Tanya's mind wouldn't rest. She kept replaying that moment, the look on the woman's face, the weight of that untouched envelope. She told herself it didn't matter. She'd done the right thing. But at night, while Malik slept, she'd stare at the flickering ceiling light and whisper, what if that woman needed to hear more? That Friday afternoon, Tanya came home from the diner, exhaustion written across her face. She was counting her last few tips when a loud knock rattled the door again. She frowned. Not again. When she opened it, her breath caught. There, standing in the golden light of evening, was the same woman, but different somehow. Softer. No makeup, no business armor. Behind her, the twins clutched a wrapped box and smiled shyly. Tanya, surprised. You're back, woman. I told myself I wouldn't rest until I saw you again. Tanya stepped aside. The woman entered slowly, looking around at the small apartment, the dishes stacked neatly, the toys in the corner, the warm smell of cornbread in the oven. Woman. My name's Victoria Hale. Tanya blinked. The name sounds familiar. Victoria, quietly. It should. My company's on half the billboards downtown. Tanya froze. So it's true, she thought. They really were rich. Victoria looked down, almost embarrassed. Victoria, I've spent my life building an empire. But that night I realized I'd built walls instead. My daughters told me how you cared for them, how you shared everything even when you had nothing. Tanya shifted uneasily. Anyone would have helped. Victoria shook her head. No, most people wouldn't. Money makes people see the world in prices, not people. The twins stepped forward, handing Tanya the box. She opened it slowly. Inside was a neat stack of papers, a key, and an envelope. Tanya. What's this? Victoria. A new job. Manager position at one of my community cafes. Higher pay, benefits, and a small house near the school your son attends. The keys for that house. Tanya's mouth fell open. You can't just... Victoria, softly. I can. And I want to. Tears welled in Tanya's eyes. I didn't help your girls for a reward, Victoria. I know. That's exactly why you deserve it. For a moment, silence hung between them, the kind filled with gratitude words couldn't hold. Malik peeked from the hallway, eyes wide. Mama, are we moving? Tanya knelt beside him, smiling through her tears. Looks like it, baby. Victoria reached out, placing a gentle hand on Tanya's shoulder. Victoria, you reminded me what real wealth is. It's not the size of your house, it's the size of your heart. The twins hugged Tanya again before leaving, laughter echoing down the hall as the door closed. Tanya sank to her knees, holding the key tight to her chest. Malik hugged her from behind. Outside, the evening sun poured through the window, soft, golden, hopeful. Tanya, whispering, sometimes, blessings come wearing soaked pink jackets. The mansion gates glide open with a soft hum. But to Tanya they roar like judgment. She grips the steering wheel of the borrowed sedan, knuckles white. Malik's hand rests on her arm. Mom, you're shaking. She forces a smile. Just cold, baby. Beyond the gates, the world shifts. Perfect lawns trimmed like velvet, windows gleaming, fountains dancing under morning sun. Everything whispers you don't belong here. At the doorway stands Mrs. Beaumont, the millionaire mother whose twins Tanya had helped. Her poise is effortless, her smile polite but distant. Tanya. So glad you could make it, she says, the kind of greeting that feels like a test. Tanya nods. Thank you again for the opportunity. She glances down at Malik, his sneakers dusty from their bus ride. He squeezes her hand tighter. Inside, the air smells of lilies and lemon polish. Two maids glance up, then exchange quick looks before lowering their eyes. Tanya catches the silent question in their glances. Who's the new charity case? Mrs. Beaumont gestures toward the grand kitchen. This will be your space. You'll oversee light housekeeping, prepare Malik's meals, and help with errands. My assistant, Claire, will brief you on routines. Her tone is warm, but measured, each word wrapped in polite distance. Tanya nods again, eyes darting to the marble counters and chandeliers. Of course, ma'am. As they walk, Malik marvels at everything. The spiral staircase, the art on the walls, the echo in every room. Mom, it's like a castle, he whispers. Tanya smiles, but her chest tightens. Castles always belong to other people. Claire enters, a woman in her 30s with immaculate posture and eyes sharp enough to slice glass. She looks Tanya up and down, her smile stiff. So, you're the one Mrs. Beaumont mentioned. Yes, ma'am, Tanya replies softly. Well, Claire says, folding her arms. We like things done properly here. Punctuality, discretion, presentation. This isn't one of those help out a neighbor situations. Understood, Tanya swallows. Understood. Claire's gaze drops to Tanya's worn shoes. Good, I'll send you the uniform list. We'll deduct the cost from your first payment. Mrs. Beaumont clears her throat gently. That's fine, Claire. Then to Tanya, please, make yourself comfortable. She smiles once more, genuine this time, and walks away. When she's gone, Claire's expression hardens. Just a tip, she murmurs. People talk around here. Try not to give them reasons. Tanya forces a nod. I just came to work. Right, Claire says. And the rest of us came to stay that way. She turns on her heel and leaves. Tanya stands alone in the glittering kitchen, the hum of the fridge the only sound. Malik tugs at her sleeve. Mom, did we do something wrong? She kneels beside him, brushing a curl from his forehead. No, baby. Some people just forget how storms feel once they've lived in sunshine too long. The morning passes in fragments of silence and whispers. Tanya wipes the marble counters until she can see her reflection, though it doesn't look like her anymore. A woman who's supposed to feel grateful. A woman who's supposed to stay invisible. Footsteps click behind her. Claire again. Careful with the silver, she says lightly. It's worth more than your car. Tanya looks up. I don't own a car. Claire's smile flickers, satisfied. Exactly. Malik sits at the far end of the kitchen table, crayons spread across paper. He's drawing the fountain outside. When one crayon rolls toward Claire's shoe, she pauses, picks it up with 2 fingers, and drops it back on the table. Children shouldn't be in the kitchen during work hours, she says. He's fine, Tanya answers gently. Rules are rules. Claire's voice softens, but her eyes don't. We all have our place. By lunchtime, Tanya's back aches. Her hands sting from scrubbing crystal dishes she'll never eat from. Mrs. Beaumont enters, her tone airy. Oh, Tanya, I forgot to tell you. We're hosting a small charity brunch tomorrow. Could you help the catering staff set up? Of course, Tanya replies. Wonderful. Mrs. Beaumont smiles, distracted. You've been such a help already. She exits as gracefully as she arrived, her perfume lingering longer than her warmth. Later, in the hallway, Tanya overhears laughter, bright, brittle laughter from 2 housemaids polishing mirrors. Did you hear? One whispers. She used to live in that shelter downtown. Her kid eats school lunch vouchers, the other giggles. Imagine them at the Beaumont table. Tanya steps closer before she can stop herself. The laughter dies when they see her. One maid stammers, Oh, didn't see you there. Tanya forces a smile. It's okay. I've heard worse from life. But when she walks away, her chest feels hollow. She finds Malik outside near the fountain, his drawing fluttering in the wind. Mom, can I show Mrs. Beaumont my picture? He asks, eyes shining. Maybe later, baby. She's busy right now, he frowns. Do they not like us? She hesitates. Sometimes people are scared of what they don't understand. As evening falls, the mansion glows like a dream, but Tanya only feels the chill. In her small servant's room, she lies awake listening to the sound of laughter drifting through the vents, glasses clinking, music playing. Her stomach twists. She remembers nights when she and Malik shared cold soup under flickering streetlights. She thought this job would be freedom. Instead, it feels like another kind of cage, polished and golden. Malik stirs beside her on the cot. Mom? Yeah, baby. When we have money, can we buy a house where no one whispers? Tanya closes her eyes. Yeah, one day. No whispers. Just peace, he smiles in the dark. And maybe a dog. Her throat tightens. Yeah, maybe a dog. Outside, thunder murmurs far away again, like a warning that the storm isn't done with them yet. Sunlight spills through the mansion's tall windows, catching the edges of glassware lined like soldiers on the buffet table. Tanya moves quickly, setting napkins, adjusting plates, making sure nothing looks out of place. Her uniform feels stiff against her skin, the borrowed shoes too tight. Malik waits quietly in the corner, sketchpad on his knees, tracing the chandelier above them. Mrs. Beaumont glides through the room, radiant in a cream dress. Everything looks wonderful, she says. Just be discreet today, Tanya. Important guests. Yes. Ma'am, Tanya answers, her voice low. Within an hour, the house fills with perfume, laughter, and the sound of heels clicking over marble. Women in pearls trade compliments sharp as knives. Men talk about market shares between sips of champagne. One woman spots Tanya carrying a tray. Oh, who's the new help? She asks loudly. Claire appears instantly. Mrs. Beaumont hired her recently. A good cause. The woman smiles thinly. How noble. Tanya keeps her eyes on the floor, pretending she doesn't hear. A glass slips slightly on the tray. She steadies it before disaster. The woman chuckles. Careful, dear. That one's worth more than your rent. Laughter ripples around them. Tanya's ears burn, but she forces a small smile. Don't worry, she says softly. I know how to hold things that aren't mine. Claire's brow twitches. Mrs. Beaumont glances over, uneasy. Everything all right here? Perfectly, Claire says quickly. Tanya's just getting used to the pace. The moment passes, but whispers follow her through the hall. In the kitchen, Tanya exhales hard. Malik peeks through the doorway. Can I help, Mom? She shakes her head. Stay here, okay? Just draw. He nods, returning to his sketch. A picture of the mansion with clouds shaped like hearts. Back in the dining room, a sudden commotion draws eyes. One of the guests, Mr. Henderson, tall and smug, drops his napkin. Tanya, Claire calls. Be a dear. She bends to pick it up, but he shifts his chair too quickly. The edge catches the tray. Crystal glasses topple, shattering like rain. Gasps fill the room. Champagne splashes across the white tablecloth, a golden wound spreading fast. Tanya freezes. Claire sighs dramatically. Oh, Tanya, the guests murmur. She's new, Mrs. Beaumont says, stepping forward, but Claire's voice slices through hers. New or not, this is carelessness. Tanya kneels, gathering shards with bare hands. A thin line of blood blooms across her palm. Mrs. Beaumont reaches for her. That's enough. But Tanya shakes her head, whispering, It's fine, ma'am. Malik bursts in before anyone can stop him. Mom! He runs to her side, eyes wide at the blood. Tanya, Mrs. Beaumont says gently, Go rest. Please. The room falls silent as mother and son leave together, Malik clutching her hand tight, behind them. Someone mutters, Some people just don't fit in, no matter how much you polish them. The laughter returns, soft but cruel. Tanya keeps walking, chin high, hand bleeding, heartbreaking. Evening falls like a bruise across the mansion. The laughter from the brunch has long faded, replaced by the echo of clinking dishes being cleaned in the kitchen. Tanya stands at the sink, her palm wrapped in gauze. Her reflection in the dark window looks smaller than she remembers. The door opens softly. Mrs. Beaumont steps in, her heels muted on the tile. Tanya. Tanya straightens instantly. Ma'am, I'm sorry about today. Mrs. Beaumont lifts a hand. It's all right. Accidents happen. Her tone is calm, but her eyes search Tanya's face. Sit, please. Tanya hesitates. I'm fine, really. That wasn't a request. Tanya sits at the edge of a stool. Mrs. Beaumont takes the opposite seat, folding her hands neatly on the counter. I know today was unpleasant, she begins. People can be cruel without meaning to be. Tanya's jaw tightens. Oh, they meant it. A pause. Mrs. Beaumont sighs. Perhaps, but I'd rather focus on what we can control. Tanya looks down at her hands. Like pretending I didn't hear them? Like acting grateful no matter what they say. Her voice trembles, but there's steel underneath. Because I can do that, ma'am. I've done it my whole life. But my son, he shouldn't have to see it. Mrs. Beaumont leans back slightly, surprised by the edge in Tanya's tone. I didn't mean to. I know you didn't, Tanya interrupts softly. You've been kind, kinder than most. But kindness isn't the same as respect. Silence stretches between them. The hum of the refrigerator feels louder than words. Finally, Mrs. Beaumont exhales. You're right. Her voice is quieter now. When I saw you with my daughters that night, you didn't hesitate to help strangers. You didn't ask who we were or what we had. You just cared. And today, seeing those same people who call themselves my friends, she stops, shaking her head. It made me see how shallow this world can be. Tanya meets her eyes for the first time. Then why keep them so close? Mrs. Beaumont looks away, her confidence flickering. Because sometimes, it's easier than being alone. Tanya studies her face, the flawless makeup, the perfect composure. And for the first time, she sees sadness there. Lonely doesn't look good on money, Tanya murmurs. Mrs. Beaumont lets out a small, tired laugh. No, it doesn't. A knock at the door breaks the moment. Claire steps in, holding a stack of papers. Sorry to interrupt, she says, though her expression says otherwise. The invoices for tomorrow's event, Mrs. Beaumont nods. Leave them on the counter. Claire's eyes flick to Tanya. I hope everything's resolved. Tanya stands, her voice calm. Yes, everything's clearer than ever. She takes Malik's drawing, the mansion with clouds shaped like hearts, from the counter and walks out quietly. Mrs. Beaumont watches her go, something unspoken burning behind her eyes. Night settles over the mansion like velvet, quiet, heavy, filled with things unsaid. Mrs. Beaumont sits alone in her study, the glow of her desk lamp spilling across papers she's not really reading. On one of them lies Malik's drawing, the mansion crowned with heart-shaped clouds. Her fingers trace the crayon lines until they blur. A memory stirs. Dusty, sun-bleached streets 20 years ago, a younger version of herself, Lena. Not Mrs. Beaumont then, standing outside a diner, with a broken suitcase and no place to sleep, and a waitress with a bright laugh and a red scarf offering coffee and a spare blanket. Tanya, she whispers into the quiet, the name tasting like regret. She remembers the warmth of that small act, how it carried her through the years, until success hardened her. And now that same woman was scrubbing her floors. She presses the intercom. Claire, please ask Tanya to come to the study. Minutes later, Tanya appears, hesitant, her uniform still damp from washing dishes, her posture careful. You wanted to see me, ma'am? Mrs. Beaumont rises slowly. Yes, and please, call me Lena, Tanya blinks. Sorry? Lena smiles faintly. You wouldn't remember. Years ago in Detroit, a waitress with a red scarf gave a stranger coffee and half her tips. That was you! Tanya's mouth falls open. I did that a lot back then. You did it for me, Lena says softly, and I never forgot. I told myself I'd repay that kindness someday, but life moved faster than conscience. Silence thickens between them. I owe you more than a job. You reminded me what compassion looks like when I'd almost forgotten. Tanya lowers her eyes. You don't owe me anything. Yes, I do, Lena insists, voice breaking. Today I let people mock you in my house, in front of your son, and you still carried yourself with grace I can't buy. She turns toward the desk, slides an envelope across. This is a deed. There's a small cottage on the east edge of my property. It's yours if you'll take it. No rent, no conditions. Tanya stares at it, speechless. I can't accept. You already earned it, Lena says. You taught my daughters empathy when they watched you help Malik pick flowers for their table. You taught me what generosity actually means. Tanya's voice trembles. I just wanted to work, to build something for him. Then build it, Lena says. But not from the shadows. She steps closer, touching Tanya's bandaged hand. Let people see who you are. Tanya nods slowly, tears threatening. Thank you. Lena smiles, eyes glassy. No, thank you, for that night, and for reminding me that money doesn't make us better. Choices do. Malik appears in the doorway, sleepy-eyed. Mom, you okay? Tanya gathers him close. We're gonna be okay, baby, finally. Lena watches them go. The drawing still on her desk. The mansion with clouds shaped like hearts. For the first time in years, it looks exactly right. Morning sunlight spills through the lace curtains, golden and soft. Tanya stands by the window of the small cottage barefoot, holding a chipped mug of coffee. The air smells like dew and lilacs drifting in from the garden. Malik bursts through the door, sneakers half-tied. Mom! There's a pond behind the house. And fish, real fish. Tanya laughs, the sound light for the first time in months. Careful near the edge, she calls. He grins. I'm just looking. It's like a whole other world. Her eyes sweep across the little kitchen, modest but hers. A wooden table, second-hand but polished. A vase of wildflowers Malik picked sits in the center. Already leaning a little, she runs her hand along the wall, whispering, ours, finally ours, later. She steps outside, watching Malik chase dragonflies across the field. Lena's mansion glimmers faintly in the distance, a reminder of how close the two worlds now sit, wealth and struggle, side by side. But today it doesn't feel like a gap. It feels like a bridge. The gravel crunches under tires. Lena's car pulls up the path. She steps out, casual this time. Jeans, loose hair, a smile not practiced but real. Settling in? She asks. Tanya nods. It's perfect. You didn't have to do all this, Lena shrugs. Maybe not. But sometimes doing what we don't have to do makes us human again. They share a quiet moment. Two women once strangers, now something like family. Malik runs up, holding a frog cupped in his hands. Look what I found. Lena crouches, amused. You're braver than me, he giggles, then looks between them. Miss Lena, are you going to visit us a lot? Tanya's eyes widen. Malik, Lena smiles softly. If your mom doesn't mind. Malik nods eagerly. Good, 'cause Mom smiles more when you're around. Tanya blushes, glancing away. He talks too much. He tells the truth, Lena says gently. As evening falls, the three of them sit on the porch steps, the air humming with crickets. Malik falls asleep against Tanya's shoulder, a blanket wrapped around him. Lena gazes at the stars. Funny, she murmurs. I spent years chasing everything money could buy, and none of it ever felt this peaceful. Tanya nods, her voice soft. Peace don't come with a price tag. You earn it through pain. Lena turns to her. And forgiveness? That too, Tanya says. That's the hardest thing money can't buy. They sit in silence for a long while, two lives stitched together by chance, now sharing the same quiet sky. Days turn into weeks, and the cottage slowly fills with life. Tanya paints the walls a soft cream, hangs second-hand curtains, and plants herbs outside the window. Basil, mint, and rosemary that scent the air when the wind blows. Malik helps, muddy hands and all. Proud of every seed. This one's gonna grow tall, he says. Tanya smiles. Like you, baby. Inside, the kitchen smells of fresh bread, her first real batch since the shelter days. She started baking again, the way her grandmother taught her. What began as a hobby becomes a spark. Lena's twins stopped by one afternoon, drawn by the smell. Miss Tanya, did you bake these? Tanya nods, laughing. Taste and tell me if they're any good. Their delighted faces say everything. Lena hears about it that evening. You still have magic in your hands, she says. Tanya shrugs. Just old recipes and hard work. Hard work built empires, Lena replies. You should sell them. People will love this. The idea lingers. That night, Tanya stays awake, sketching plans in a worn notebook, a small stall by the farmer's market. Homemade bread, cookies, pies. Malik's mum's kitchen. She writes the name twice. Then underlines it. Weeks later, she's up before dawn, packing baskets into Lena's spare car. Lena insists on driving her first day. Call it moral support, she says. At the market, Tanya sets up a small wooden table, nerves buzzing in her chest. Her first customer, an elderly woman with a kind smile, takes a bite and nods. Honey, this tastes like home. By noon, she's sold out. When she returns to the cottage, Malik is waiting on the porch, waving a paper bag. Did you sell them all? Every crumb, she laughs. He hugs her tightly. I told you people would love your cookies. That night, they eat dinner by candlelight. Not because they have to, but because it feels special. Lena drops by with tea, watching Tanya's joy quietly. You look lighter, she says. I feel like I'm finally standing on my own feet again. Lena smiles. You always were. You just needed ground that didn't shift beneath you. But as they talk, a car passes slowly on the distant road, a black sedan that doesn't belong here. Its headlights pause near the gate before rolling away into the dark. Tanya notices, her smile fading slightly. Everything okay? Lena asks. Yeah, Tanya says softly. Probably nothing. But the unease lingers, faint and cold beneath the warmth of the night. Malik tugs at her sleeve. Mom, can we go to the market again tomorrow? She forces a smile. Of course, baby. Tomorrow. She looks out the window once more. The stars still shine bright. But somewhere in the shadows, something feels like it's watching. The next few weeks unfold like a quiet miracle. Tanya's little stand becomes a fixture at the farmer's market. Locals line up early for her bread, her laughter, and the warmth that comes with every sale. She doesn't just sell food, she sells comfort. Children love her cookies. Old couples linger to chat, and Malik runs around handing out napkins like a proud business partner. Mom, we should make flyers, he says one afternoon, smudged with flour. Tanya grins. You're hired as my marketing manager, he beams, chest puffed with pride. By the third weekend, other vendors start to notice. Those Brown family cookies are selling fast, someone mutters. Maybe too fast, another replies. Eyes narrowing, but Tanya doesn't hear it. Not yet. She's too focused on keeping up. Baking late into the night, Every loaf she sells goes into savings, a small, crumpled envelope tucked beneath her mattress. Her dream is simple. Buy Malik a real bed, maybe even a car someday, so she won't have to rely on borrowed rides. Then one morning, Lena burst through the cottage door with a flyer in hand. "Girl, look at this." It's a photo of Tanya's stand, printed in the local newspaper. A feature titled, "The Heart of the Market, a Single Mother's Recipe for Hope." Tanya stares, stunned. Her face, Malik's smile, her handwritten sign, all there in color. "I didn't even know they were taking pictures," Lena laughs. "That's what happens when you shine. People notice, but not everyone's smiling." Later that week, when Tanya arrives at the market, her table is pushed to the edge. Someone's taken her usual spot. She frowns. "Excuse me, there must be a mistake." The market coordinator, a tall man with tired eyes, avoids her gaze. "New vendor bought that space for the month. You'll have to set up here instead. It's in the corner." Half hidden behind a stack of crates. Tanya swallows the hurt and sets up anyway. Malik tries to cheer her up. Waving a sign he made himself. "Best cookies in town." She smiles through the ache. "We'll be okay," but whispers ripple through the stalls. She's getting special attention. Probably some charity case. Poor girl's milking her story. Tanya pretends not to hear, though the words sting like splinters. By afternoon, business slows. Customers glance, smile politely, but move on. The warmth that once surrounded her now feels thin, fragile. When the day ends, she counts the cash quietly, half of what she earned before. Lena finds her sitting by the car, head in her hands. "They'll come around," Lena says gently. Tanya shakes her head. "I just wanted to build something honest." "Why does kindness make people jealous?" Lena sighs. "Because light reminds people of their shadows." As they drive home, that black sedan appears again, parked at the corner near the cottage. Headlights flicker once. Tanya grips the steering wheel tighter. This time, she's sure it's no coincidence. Night falls heavy over the countryside. Rain whispers against the cottage roof like nervous fingertips. Tanya stands by the window, arms crossed, watching the black sedan parked at the edge of the gravel road. It's the third night in a row, engine off. Lights flicking once, then stillness. Malik sleeps soundly in the next room. Clutching his stuffed lion, she whispers, "I'm not letting anything happen to you." "Baby." Lena's voice echoes in her head. "Don't let fear drive you. You've faced worse, but this feels different. This feels personal." She slips on her old jacket, grabs a flashlight, and steps into the wet grass. Every crunch of gravel sounds like thunder in the silence. Her heart beats loud enough to drown out the crickets. The car's silhouette waits, still and patient. A shiver runs through her. She circles it slowly, beam trembling in her hand, no movement inside. Then, click. The passenger window slides down just an inch, enough to send her heart straight to her throat. A voice, calm and measured, seeps through the crack. "Miss Brown." She freezes. "Who are you?" A pause. Then, "I work for Mrs. Beaumont." Tanya takes a step back. "The twins' mother?" "Yes. She'd like to speak with you. Privately." Her stomach knots. "At this hour?" She's been reconsidering some things. Tanya's breath clouds in the cold air. Reconsidering. That word stings. The same tone she's heard from people who reconsidered her worth. Still, curiosity flickers under her fear. "Tell her I'll come tomorrow." In the daylight, the window slides up again, silent, deliberate. Then the car rolls away, tires hissing over wet gravel, until the red taillights vanish into the dark. Tanya stands alone in the mist, soaked to the bone, staring at the empty road. She doesn't know whether to feel threatened or chosen. The next morning, she wakes to a letter slipped under her door, cream-colored paper. No name on the envelope. She opens it with trembling fingers. Inside, a handwritten note. "Tanya Brown, there are things you deserve to know. Come to the Beaumont estate at noon. M.B." Her pulse quickens. The handwriting, elegant but uncertain, Looks nothing like the signature on those business cards she once saw. Almost. Hesitant, she folds the note carefully and looks toward Malik, still asleep. Maybe it's time, she whispers. Lena's car horn honks outside. Girl, you ready? Tanya nods, slipping the letter into her pocket. I don't know what I'm walking into, but I'm done being afraid. As the cottage door closes, the camera would linger on the empty envelope lying on the floor. A single drop of water stains the paper. But it isn't rain. The Beaumont estate looms ahead, all glass and marble under a grey sky. Rain has stopped. But the air still hums with thunder that never left. Tanya steps out of Lena's car, clutching the letter in her hand. The front gates swing open before she even knocks. Inside, everything gleams. Chandeliers, portraits, silence thick as guilt. Mrs. Beaumont waits in the grand hall, her heels echoing like judgment. Tanya, she says softly. You came. Tanya's eyes narrow. You sent someone to my house. Watched me for days. Why? Mrs. Beaumont's gaze flickers. I needed to be sure. Sure of what? Tanya snaps. That I wasn't stealing your kids? Or that I still look poor enough to pity? The air cracks like lightning. Mrs. Beaumont takes a step closer. You don't understand. No, Tanya cuts her off. You're right. I don't. You walk into my life, offer a few kind words, and disappear while people whisper about me. I didn't ask for charity, Mrs. Beaumont. I just helped 2 lost girls for one night. Her voice trembles, half anger, half heartbreak. The twins' mother closes her eyes. You helped my girls when no one else would. And not just now, Tanya freezes. What? Mrs. Beaumont's voice falters. Years ago. You worked at a diner off Route 17. You don't remember me, do you? Tanya blinks, searching her memory. A flash. A young woman crying in a booth. No money for food. A newborn in her arms. She remembers sneaking a plate of pancakes onto the table. Keep it, she had whispered then. You look like you need it more than I do. Tanya's breath catches. That was you. Mrs. Beaumont nods, tears shimmering now. You gave me food when I was broke, scared and alone. That baby was one of my twins. I built everything I have now from that day, from that kindness. And I swore if I ever found you again, I'd repay it. Tanya's eyes widen. Repay it? You think this is repayment? Watching me from a car like I'm some stranger under suspicion? Mrs. Beaumont breaks. I didn't know how to approach you. You were proud, strong. I didn't want to embarrass you. The anger drains from Tanya's face, replaced by disbelief. For a moment, both women just stand there, years of silence hanging heavy between them. Then, the twins run into the hall, shouting, Mama! Miss Tanya! Their little arms wrap around both women at once, innocent, unbroken. Tanya exhales, her hands trembling. You don't owe me anything. I just did what anyone should. Mrs. Beaumont wipes her tears. And that's why you deserve everything I have. Thunder rolls again. But this time it feels like release. The sound of walls falling instead of building. The rain had stopped. For good this time. Morning sunlight poured through the kitchen window of Tanya's cottage. Her cottage, and bathed everything in gold. The smell of fresh bread mixed with coffee filled the air. For the first time in years, Tanya wasn't rushing to survive. She was building. Stacks of boxes sat near the door, stamped with a new logo, Brown's Hearth Bakery. Her name, her brand, her dream, and not a handout. Not this time. Mrs. Beaumont had offered money, partnerships, even property downtown, but Tanya had shaken her head. I appreciate it, she'd said, steady and calm. But if I accept, it'll be as a partner, not a project. Mrs. Beaumont had smiled through tears. Then a partner you'll be, now weeks later. Tanya's bakery stood at the corner of Main and Ash, bright, welcoming, with a mural of 3 children painted on the wall. Malik, and the twins. The inscription beneath read, Kindness is a seed. Watch what it grows. Inside, business buzzed. Customers crowded the counters, laughing, chatting, snapping photos. The local news called her the woman who turned compassion into a company. She just called it life. Malik dashed in from school, waving a flyer. Mom, They want you to speak at Career Day. Tanya laughed, ruffling his hair. What am I supposed to say? He grinned. Tell them how you fed a millionaire. Laughter rippled through the bakery, even from Mrs. Beaumont, who stood quietly near the back, now not as a savior, but a silent investor, letting Tanya lead. Later that evening, as the sun dipped low, Tanya locked up the shop and stood on the sidewalk. Looking at the sign, her hands were still rough from work, but they trembled with pride, not exhaustion. She whispered, "We did it, Mama," her mother's voice, long gone but never forgotten, seemed to echo back. "You always could." She turned to see Mrs. Beaumont watching from across the street, arms folded, a faint smile on her face. Still baking past closing time? Tanya chuckled. Some habits don't die easy. Mrs. Beaumont walked closer, her expression thoughtful. "I spent years believing money was power," she said softly. "You proved me wrong." Tanya looked her in the eye. "Money helps, sure, but kindness? That's the real wealth." A quiet beat. Two women who began as strangers, divided by class, by luck, by pain, now stood side by side, equals under the fading light. Then, as if the world itself was giving a standing ovation, a warm breeze swept through the street, carrying the smell of bread. Rain and something new, freedom. A month later, the smell of cinnamon and courage fills the air at Brown's Hearth Bakery. Tanya's small shop has become more than a business. It's a gathering place. Every morning, women from every walk of life line up for coffee, conversation, and something warmer than pastries. Belonging. Tanya stands at the counter, apron dusted with flour, listening as a young mother speaks. "I've been sleeping in my car with my baby," the woman whispers. "Nobody'll hire me." Tanya doesn't hesitate. "Come tomorrow," she says. "We start at 6. You'll help with muffins, and you'll eat before you work." The woman's eyes fill. "You'd really do that?" Tanya smiles. "Someone once did it for me." That single act becomes the spark. Within weeks, the Hearth program launches, a community project offering part-time jobs and mentorship to single mothers. Local newspapers call it a movement born from mercy. TV crews arrive. Cameras roll. Tanya's face appears on morning shows. "Ms. Brown," a reporter asks, "how did this all begin?" Tanya glances at Mrs. Beaumont, sitting quietly off camera, then back to the lens. "It began with 2 hungry kids and 1 night of rain," she says simply. "I didn't plan a movement. I just refused to look away." Applause follows. But fame brings shadows too. One evening, after an interview, Tanya finds her shop vandalized, windows cracked. Red paint spelling, "Lucky Break." Lena rushes in, furious. "Jealous fools." Tanya just stares at the mess, heart steady. "Let them call it luck," she says. "We'll call it proof we matter." The next morning, volunteers crowd the sidewalk, sweeping, repainting, repairing. Even Mrs. Beaumont rolls up her sleeves. By noon, the bakery shines brighter than before. The twins hang a new sign above the door. "Rising again." Later that night, Tanya stands on a small stage at the local community center. Dozens of women sit before her. Waiting, she grips the mic, nervous but fierce. "When people see struggle," she says, "they often see failure, but struggle is where strength is baked. Every loaf, every bruise, every tear, it all rises if you give it heat and time." The crowd murmurs, moved. Malik watches proudly from the front row, whispering, "That's my mom." As the lights dim, applause echoes through the hall. Not polite, but thunderous, alive. Tanya closes her eyes, breathing it in. She isn't the poor single mother anymore. She's a voice, one that refuses to stay quiet. Outside, the same breeze that once carried fear now carries purpose, and as the doors open, a sign by the exit glows beneath the streetlight. From survival to strength, we rise together. The auditorium buzzes with voices, camera flashes, and the low hum of anticipation. A banner stretches across the stage. National Women of Impact Awards. Dozens of nominees sit in elegant rows, CEOs, activists, authors, and at the very center, Nervously smoothing the folds of her modest blue dress, sits Tanya Brown. She never imagined being here. She'd baked pies for fundraisers, sure. But this? Her name printed on a card beside women she used to see on magazine covers? It feels unreal. Mrs. Beaumont sits in the front row with the twins and Malik, all beaming with pride. Lena waves from the aisle, mouthing, "Breathe, girl." When Tanya's name is called, the crowd rises. She walks to the podium, lights flooding her face, bright, almost blinding. Her hands tremble, but her eyes steady as they meet the sea of strangers waiting for her story. She exhales, then begins. I grew up believing people like me weren't meant for places like this. A ripple of silence moves through the hall. I thought kindness was weakness, that if you didn't have money, your story didn't matter. She pauses. But I was wrong. Because one act of kindness, one night, changed everything. A few heads nod. Cameras click softly. I met 2 little girls at my door one stormy night. They needed food and a warm bed. I didn't know their mother was wealthy. I didn't know anyone would ever remember it. But that night reminded me, we don't need to be rich to be generous. We just need to care enough to stop. Applause starts to build. Slow but sincere, Tanya's voice trembles, full of both power and humility. I stand here not as someone who was saved, but as someone who refused to stay broken. And I want every woman, every mother, every person out there who's been told they're not enough. To know this, you are. Your struggle is not shame. It's your strength waiting to rise. By now, the audience is on its feet, even the judges, even the photographers, clapping, whistling, some wiping tears. Mrs. Beaumont smiles proudly through glassy eyes. Malik jumps to his feet, shouting, "That's my mom!" Tanya laughs through her tears, raising the small glass award in her hand. "This," she says, voice breaking, "this belongs to every woman who's ever been underestimated." Lights flare, confetti falls, and for the first time in her life, Tanya isn't surviving the storm. She's standing in the light. The camera pans to her face, calm, radiant, unafraid. And in that moment, every hardship, every insult, every lonely night turns into something far greater. Power. The city lights fade behind them as the car rolls down the quiet country road. Tanya leans her head against the window, the cool glass humming under her temple. The award sits on Malik's lap, shining under the passing streetlights. He keeps staring at it like it's a treasure chest. "You think Grandma's watching?" he asks softly. Tanya smiles. She never stopped. They drive past the old diner, faded sign, chipped paint, the same one where Tanya once handed a free plate of food to a desperate young mother. Mrs. Beaumont slows the car. "Want to go in?" she asks gently. Tanya nods. Inside, nothing much has changed. Same sticky tables, same neon hum. Only now, the waitress recognizes her. "Hey, you're the lady from TV," Tanya laughs. "Guess so." They sit in the same booth, the one where kindness once changed a stranger's life. No cameras, no lights this time, just 2 women sharing quiet gratitude between bites of pancakes. Mrs. Beaumont stirs her coffee, then glances up. "You know," she says, "for years I thought success was about what you build." Tanya tilts her head. "And now?" Mrs. Beaumont smiles faintly. "Now I think it's about who you lift." Outside, dawn begins to break, soft gold spilling over the horizon. Tanya watches it rise, her reflection caught in the glass. Her own eyes look different now, wiser, lighter, unafraid. When they finally return to the cottage, Malik rushes out first. He runs across the small garden Tanya planted herself, rows of mint, basil and marigolds dancing in the early breeze. He sticks the award in the soil. "Like a flag. Our roots deserve to shine too," he says proudly. Tanya laughs, kneeling beside him. "You're right, baby. We'll let it grow here." Mrs. Beaumont watches from the porch, arms folded, her expression soft. For once, there's no trace of wealth or guilt or distance, just respect. Tanya stands, brushing soil from her hands. Her eyes sweep across the sky, the house, the boy, the woman, her world rebuilt from ashes and love. She whispers, "We're home." A warm wind rises through the fields. carrying laughter and the faint smell of bread from the bakery down the road. And as the camera pulls back, we see the cottage glowing under the morning sun, a symbol of every life reborn through kindness and resilience. Narrative fade-out text. Sometimes, the richest people are the ones who give without knowing who's watching. Sometimes, miracles don't fall from heaven, they rise from broken hearts that refuse to stay down. 5 years later, the city skyline looks different now. A shimmering new community center stands at its heart, all glass and light. Its doors open wide to anyone seeking shelter, hope, or just a warm meal. The sign above the entrance reads, "The Amara Foundation, built by hands that once knocked in the rain." Inside, children laugh in the art room. A young mother studies in the corner, a baby asleep beside her. Volunteers move like quiet angels between tables, serving food, offering smiles. And there, in the middle of it all, stands Tanya Brown. Her once worn hands now hold blueprints, not bills. Her voice carries calm authority as she guides a group of volunteers. She's no longer just a survivor. She's a builder of second chances. A reporter approaches, holding a mic. "Ms. Brown," she begins, "this center has already helped over 2,000 families. What inspired you to start it?" Tanya's eyes drift to a framed photo on the wall, her and Mrs. Beaumont. Years ago, standing outside the diner under pouring rain. Beside it, another frame, Malik, now a teenager, grinning in his scholarship uniform beside the twin girls, Aisha and Layla. She smiles softly. "A knock on my door," she says simply. "And a choice to open it," the reporter tilts her head. "And what do you hope people take away from that?" Tanya looks straight into the camera. That help doesn't always come from the rich. That sometimes the ones who have the least give the most. And when you lead with kindness, life finds a way to return it. Bigger, brighter, louder. Applause ripples through the hall. But amid the celebration, Tanya's gaze lands on someone she hasn't seen in months, Mrs. Beaumont. The older woman's hair has grayed, but her eyes still carry that same fierce pride. She walks toward Tanya, her cane tapping softly against the polished floor. "I told you," she says, voice trembling. "You were never just helping strangers that night. You were planting seeds." Tanya takes her hand. "And look what they became." Mrs. Beaumont nods, tears shining. "You built what I could only dream of." The lights dim slightly as music fills the background. Soft piano, swelling with emotion. The camera pans to Malik, now leading a group of kids through a drawing exercise. He laughs, confident, happy. In his pocket is the same folded $10 bill his mother once kept for emergencies only. He never spent it. He says it reminds him of the night that changed their lives. Outside, a black car pulls up. Two familiar women step out, Aisha and Layla. They're adults now, dressed in simple clothes, no longer hiding behind luxury. They walk toward the building with calm purpose. Inside, Tanya turns and sees them. For a moment, no words, just silence thick with history. Then Aisha says softly, "You helped us when you had nothing," Layla adds. "So now, we're helping you reach everyone." They hand her a check, the logo of Beaumont International Foundation shining faintly in the corner. The amount makes Tanya's breath catch. "This is for the next center," Aisha says, "in your old neighborhood." Tanya looks at them, at the faces of women she once sheltered, unaware of who they truly were, and laughs through her tears. "I guess what goes around really does come around." The twins smile. "It doesn't just come around," Layla says. "It multiplies." The camera slowly pulls back, through the crowd, the laughter, the lights, until the entire building glows against the night sky. A voice echoes. Tanya's. Calm. Certain, strong. We all start as strangers in someone's storm, but when we choose to open the door, we invite miracles to find their way home.